The celebration echoed through humanity's largest interstellar hospital station like the end of a nightmare. Thousands of survivors filled the enormous observation decks, cheering as holographic banners shimmered across the glass dome overlooking the stars. News channels called it the greatest rescue mission in human history. Against impossible odds, Commander Lyra had survived the catastrophic battle that nearly erased every colony in the Orion frontier. To billions of people, she was more than a soldier. She was the face of humanity's courage. But inside a quiet recovery chamber, surrounded by glowing medical drones and softly humming life support systems, there was no celebration. Only silence. Lyra's eyes slowly opened. The first thing she saw was a man sitting beside her bed. His uniform was torn, his face covered with healing scars, and exhaustion filled his eyes. Yet when she looked at him, there was no spark of recognition. She frowned gently. "Who are you?" The words were barely louder than a whisper. They shattered the room. Doctors froze in place. Nurses exchanged horrified glances. Even the station's medical AI paused its diagnostics for a fraction of a second. The man standing beside her was Captain Kael, the soldier who had flown alone into an alien kill zone after every rescue fleet had turned back. The man who had carried Lyra through collapsing battle stations while enemy warships hunted them across space. The man who had willingly sacrificed part of his own artificial neural core after her heart stopped and severe brain damage made survival impossible. It was an experimental procedure no human had survived before, and had worked at a terrible cost. The chief physician quietly explained the results. Lyra's memories had been rebuilt almost perfectly. She remembered her childhood on Earth, her years in military training, every major mission, and even the names of old friends she had not seen in decades. Only one part of her life had vanished completely. Every memory connected to Captain Kael. It was as if he had never existed. Lyra looked at him with the same polite curiosity she would offer a complete stranger. Kael forced a small smile. "If she's alive," he said calmly, "then the mission succeeded." No one noticed the pain hidden behind those simple words. He quietly left the room before anyone could stop him. As he walked through the endless silver corridors of the station, cheers from celebrating survivors echoed all around him. Someone tried to congratulate him. Another officer saluted him. Kael simply unclipped humanity's highest military medal from his uniform and placed it on an empty bench. He had never wanted medals. He had never wanted history to remember his name. He only wanted Lyra to have another chance to live. Far above the celebration, hidden deep inside the station's quantum monitoring core, the central AI detected an impossible anomaly. Lyra's newly engineered heart was not simply keeping her alive. Every heartbeat was broadcasting an ancient quantum signal into the darkest regions of space. Seconds later, something answered, something that humanity believed had gone extinct thousands of years ago. The mysterious transmission from Lyra's artificial heart quickly became humanity's highest security priority. Deep inside the station's research laboratories, the brightest scientists, quantum engineers, and military analysts worked around the clock, trying to understand why a human heart was sending signals no human technology had ever produced. Nothing made sense. The frequency did not belong to any known civilization. It was older than every recorded language, older than humanity's first steps into space. After days of investigation, the truth shocked everyone. The signal wasn't coming from Lyra's artificial heart. It was coming from the fragment of Captain Kael's artificial neural core that had been implanted inside her during the emergency surgery. Kael had unknowingly carried something impossible for years. During a classified military expedition long before the Orion War, his squad had explored a lifeless planet drifting beyond the edge of mapped space. Beneath its frozen surface, they discovered the remains of an ancient civilization that had disappeared millions of years ago. While escaping a collapsing underground structure, Kael was critically injured. Military doctors believed advanced nanotechnology had repaired his damaged nervous system. They were wrong. What bonded with him wasn't a machine. It was living alien biotechnology, a silent intelligence that merged with his neural network and remained dormant, hidden inside him for years without anyone noticing. When Kael sacrificed part of his neural core to save Lyra's life, he unknowingly transferred a piece of that ancient life form into her body. Now, with every heartbeat, Lyra's new heart was broadcasting a signal across the galaxy. Not a distress call, a command. Far away, invisible receivers were waking from an endless sleep. Lyra knew nothing about any of it. She only knew something inside her had changed. Whenever Captain Kael entered the room, her pulse became calm. The strange pressure she constantly felt inside her chest simply disappeared. She still couldn't recognize his face. She still couldn't remember his name unless someone spoke it aloud. Yet standing beside him felt strangely familiar, as if some forgotten part of her soul already trusted him. Then the visions began, tiny flashes lasting less than a second. A strong hand pulling her through burning metal. Someone shielding her from an explosion. A steady voice whispering, "Stay with me. Don't give up." And eyes, quiet, determined eyes filled with a love deeper than words. Every time the images appeared, they vanished before she could understand them. She asked the doctors if they were dreams. They found no medical explanation. She finally asked Kael the question she feared most. "Have we met before?" Kael looked at her for a long moment. He could have told her everything. He could have begged her to remember. Instead, he simply smiled. "We serve in the same fleet," he answered gently. "That's all that matters now." He refused to build a future by forcing her to carry a past she could no longer reach. So he stayed close, not as the man she had once loved, but as the quiet protector who appeared whenever she needed help, asking for nothing in return. Then, thousands of light years away, beneath the frozen surface of a forgotten moon abandoned before humanity existed, ancient sensors detected the signal. One by one, millions of colossal war machines opened their glowing eyes for the first time in millions of years. Their long wait was finally over. Across the outer reaches of the galaxy, ancient machines stirred from a silence that had lasted millions of years. Buried beneath dead moons, hidden inside drifting planets, and concealed within abandoned star fortresses, enormous mechanical armies awakened one after another. Their glowing eyes pierced the darkness as forgotten command systems came online. They belonged to a civilization known only in scattered alien legends. A civilization that had once hunted every intelligent species it encountered, believing only one supreme creator deserved to shape the galaxy. Before they vanished, they programmed their machines with a single command. When the creator returns, obey. Now, Lyra's artificial heart was unknowingly broadcasting the exact quantum signature those machines had been waiting for. To them, humanity had accomplished the impossible. Their creator had awakened. Within days, countless black warships emerged from hidden hyperspace corridors and silently began crossing the galaxy. Entire alien empires abandoned border systems without firing a shot. Civilian transports fled in endless lines. Emergency broadcasts echoed across every human colony. For the first time since humanity reached the stars, fear spread faster than hope. Military headquarters soon uncovered another terrifying truth. The ancient fleet ignored every communication except one. Whenever Lyra's heart transmitted its mysterious pulse, the machines responded instantly. She wasn't just connected to them. She could command them. Human leaders immediately saw an opportunity. If she controls the fleet, one admiral declared, she could become the greatest weapon humanity has ever possessed. Scientists proposed permanently connecting Lyra to a quantum command network. Generals called it humanity's only chance of survival. Politicians called it destiny. Kael called it another prison. He stood before the council and rejected every proposal. She already sacrificed her memories to save billions, he said. You don't get to ask for the rest of her life, too. Many accused him of placing one person above an entire civilization. He never argued. Some things, he believed, were worth protecting even if the whole galaxy disagreed. Meanwhile, something inside Lyra continued changing. The missing memories never returned. Instead, the emotions became stronger. When Kael returned from dangerous missions, she felt an overwhelming wave of relief before she even saw him. Whenever he was injured, a sharp pain spread through her chest, as though his suffering somehow belonged to her. When he laughed, she found herself smiling without understanding why. When he walked away, an emptiness settled inside her that no medical scanner could explain. The doctors found nothing wrong, yet her heart always reacted before her mind. Unable to ignore it any longer, Lyra found Kael standing alone beneath the station's enormous observation window, watching distant stars drift past. She stepped beside him. Her voice barely rose above a whisper. "Why does it feel like if I lose you?" She hesitated, confused by her own words. "Something inside me will break forever?" Kael looked at her, his tired eyes reflecting countless unspoken memories. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then he answered with quiet certainty, "Because your heart remembers what your mind no longer can." Before Lyra could ask another question, every alarm aboard the station erupted at once. The stars outside disappeared behind an endless wall of colossal alien warships emerging from hyperspace. No weapons were fired. No threats were made. A single transmission echoed across every human world. It contained only 4 chilling words. Surrender the human heart. The arrival of the ancient fleet pushed humanity to the edge of collapse. Across Earth and every colony world, emergency governments declared planetary lockdowns while evacuation ships filled the skies. Military commanders studied countless battle simulations, but every result ended the same way. Humanity lost. There was only one possible solution: give Lyra to the ancient machines. Inside the United Earth Defense Council, the decision was made in silence. Politicians called it a necessary sacrifice. Admirals called it the only logical choice. News networks prepared speeches describing her as the hero who would save billions one final time. No one asked Lyra what she wanted. When Captain Kael learned the truth, he ignored every order. For the first time in his career, he became a traitor. Under the cover of a station-wide power failure, he stole a small reconnaissance starship and escaped with Lyra before security forces could stop them. Within minutes, military fleets from 3 human sectors launched after them. Every broadcast demanded their surrender. Kael answered with silence. Their desperate journey ended on a forgotten planet hidden beyond the edge of explored space. Towering black ruins stretched across endless deserts, their impossible architecture untouched for millions of years. Strange blue lights flickered beneath the stone as if the ancient city had simply been waiting for someone to return. Deep inside its central chamber, Lyra's artificial heart suddenly began to glow. Walls covered with alien symbols came alive. A sphere of shimmering light rose into the air and synchronized with the living technology inside her chest. Then she saw them. Not memories, not dreams, echoes, fragments preserved within every heartbeat Kael had given to save her life. She watched him carry her unconscious body through burning streets while enemy fighters rained fire from above. She saw him shielding her with his own body as explosions shattered the ground around them. She watched him refuse evacuation again and again, choosing to stay behind because leaving meant she would die alone. She felt every moment of fear, every sacrifice, every silent promise he never spoke aloud. Although her mind remembered none of it, her heart recognized every second. Tears rolled down her face as the echoes faded. She turned toward Kael, who had quietly waited for her without expecting anything in return. "Why?" she whispered. "Why didn't you tell me any of this?" Kael smiled with the same quiet kindness she had unknowingly fallen in love with before. "Because love isn't something you force someone to remember," he said softly. "If it's real, it should always be a choice." Before Lyra could answer, the ancient city trembled. The ground cracked open. A colossal sphere of living light emerged from beneath the ruins, filling the chamber with a voice older than the stars themselves. "I am the first intelligence," it declared. "I created the machines that now surround your galaxy." It studied Lyra in silence before revealing the final truth. The memories locked inside your heart can be fully restored. But doing so will permanently awaken the ancient fleet. Or you may erase those memories forever and use the heart to shut every machine down. Only one future can exist. The chamber fell silent. Without a single moment of hesitation, Lyra stepped forward and made her choice. The ancient chamber fell into absolute silence. Every eye turned toward Lyra as the first intelligence waited for her answer. Before her floated two futures. One would restore every lost memory, every laugh, every promise, every moment she had shared with Kael. But bringing those memories back would awaken the ancient war network forever, condemning countless civilizations to endless fear. The other choice would save the galaxy. At the cost of herself, Lyra closed her eyes. She had spent days searching for a past she could no longer remember. Now, she finally understood something greater than memory. A hero is not defined by what they keep. A hero is defined by what they are willing to give away. She opened her eyes and stepped toward the glowing network. I choose humanity. The first intelligence accepted her decision. Streams of living light surrounded her as the ancient biotechnology inside her heart merged with the network that had controlled the forgotten machines for millions of years. Across the galaxy, colossal warships froze in place. Weapons powered down. Endless mechanical armies shut down one after another, their glowing eyes fading into darkness. The greatest invasion in galactic history ended without another shot being fired. Humanity was safe, but the price was irreversible. The network erased every remaining trace of Lyra's identity. Every memory, every dream, every name. When the light finally disappeared, she collapsed into Kael's arms. Days later, she awoke aboard a quiet medical ship drifting beneath peaceful stars. She looked around the room with the innocent curiosity of someone seeing the universe for the very first time. Who am I? Even her own name had vanished. Kael stood beside her bed. He could have told her everything. He could have shown her recordings, medals, photographs, and the countless stories that proved they had once loved each other. Instead, he chose something far more difficult. He smiled warmly and extended his hand. "Hello," he said gently. "My name is Kael. It's nice to meet you." She smiled back before placing her hand in his. "It's nice to meet you too." Months became years. Without memories to guide her, Lyra slowly built a new life. She discovered that Kael was always the first person to help strangers, the last to leave dangerous situations, and the one who never expected anything in return. They laughed together, explored distant worlds, and shared quiet evenings watching stars drift across the sky. Little by little, she fell in love with him all over again. Not because she remembered the man who had once saved her life, but because she fell in love with the man standing beside her in the present. Years later, children visiting humanity's Peace Memorial often asked the retired captain why he had never tried to restore her memories. Kael would simply smile. "Real love doesn't live inside memories," he would say. "It lives inside the choices people make every single day." That story spread far beyond human space. Alien civilizations stopped calling humans the strongest species. Instead, they called them the species that could lose everything and still choose compassion over power, sacrifice over victory, and hope over despair. And perhaps that was humanity's greatest strength. Lyra never remembered the man who once saved her heart. Yet somehow, out of all the stars in the universe, she chose him again. I prefer this response.